I wish I just took the time to explore Nigeria more. Welcome back to another video, you guys. So before we get started, shout out to 𝙃𝙼𝙐𝙍 for sponsoring this video. So I'm just going to show you this beautiful wig that they sent me and how easy it is to slay this wig, you guys. It takes like no effort. So I'm just showing you now the beautiful packaging it comes with, instructions and all that type of stuff. But let's get to the meat, which is the wig. So I got this beautiful kind of like ombre blonde wig. It is so gorgeous. I have worked with 𝙃𝙼𝙐𝙍 before, and their hair is always so beautiful, super soft, and I also love it comes ready to wear. So all you really have to do is cut the lace off. So here's a close-up of the cap construction. As you can see, it's like they've installed the bald cap into the wig, which means that's one more step that you do not have to do. And another great thing is this wig can be worn glueless. Yeah. So you do not have to worry about knowing how to apply glue or hairspray. It is like ready to wear, good to go. Also, the lace color is literally perfect. It's already like tinted brown, which makes just so much sense. So here I am just trying the wig on. Look at how that lace literally like disappears on my skin. I love it. So yeah, like you don't have to do much prep work. Like I just have my braids on underneath. You can't even tell the bald cap is already in the wig. So it's like 1, 2, 3, ABC, you're done. So all you got to do, as I said before, is remove the lace. So that is what I'm doing here. Normally I like to cut a zigzag pattern, but I didn't really need to do that because the color of the lace blends so well, it will be hard to detect it anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and also adjust the straps inside the wig. So I'm going to move these like 2 bra straps to the middle of the wig just to make it nice and snug. And when it is nice and snug, it's very hard to detect. So this is what I'm saying. I cut the lace off. You can't even see where I cut the lace. Like it literally blends so perfectly with my skin. Yeah, completely completely glueless. Okay, so I'm gonna do my makeup so I can actually look like something. And I'm gonna be right back. Ta-da! So makeup is done. And yeah, this is what the wig is looking like. Let me back up a little bit for you guys. So she is completely glueless. Of course, you can use hairspray or glue if you feel like it, but I just wanted to show you how the wig looks without any assistance. Let me come closer. So, okay, see, as you can see, I lift her up. She comes right off, right? So that is what she looks like, you guys. So yeah, 𝙃𝙼𝙐𝙍, all the information is in the link in the description box below. Okay, so thanks again, 𝙃𝙼𝙐𝙍, for sponsoring this video. Now let's get to the juice. So like obviously the title of this video is things I wish I knew before moving from Ghana to Nigeria. So my situation is unique because I'm moving from one African country to another African country. And it's a little bit different, of course, than, relocating from the West. So initially I relocated from Canada to Ghana, and now I had come from Ghana to Nigeria. So there are things I would totally have done different, and I just wish there was a way to access all this information during that time, like specifically around moving and how to make moving easier and what to avoid, all that type of stuff, Now, I made a list. It is in no particular order. It's not from, best to worst or 1 to 10. It's just random, okay? But these are just things I wish that I had known beforehand, okay? So let's get into it. Let me check my notes here. So I'm going to start with the real cost of living in Nigeria. So initially I was on this website called Nigerian Property Center, I believe. And, on the site you'll see homes and rental units. So the price that you see let's say it's like 10 million for the year. That sounds amazing, because at the time when you converted that to Canadian, it was like 8,000 Canadian for the year, which is like a steal, right? So just the price feels mesmerizing at first, but then you don't realize all the other spending that comes along with that, right? So if you have your place for, let's say, 10 million, somewhere that you like, you have to consider service charges. And that's if you're going to be in like a compound or an estate. So of course, me moving to this country for the first time, I would feel more comfortable living in an estate or a compound type of situation. So the service charge right now, these days, is like 1 point something million naira, which is about, $1,000. So you have your service charge, and then you have your diesel charge. So most compounds or estates, they have a generator, which runs on diesel. So when you're living in the unit, you also have to contribute to diesel. So you have to pay for your diesel, which is maybe, depending on where you are, it could be $1 million to 2 million, So that's going to add to your 10 million. So now you're at 12 million. And then aside from those costs, around like your actual accommodations, you got to pay your lawyer 10%. So that's going to be another $1 million. Then you got to pay, what's that fee? Like security deposit. So that's another $1 million. That's typically 10% of whatever your place costs. So if your place is 10, 12, 13, 14 million, it will be reflective of 10% of the cost of your rental unit. So you have to pay that. So now you're up to 13 million or 13 point something million. And then you also have to pay your agent 10%. Maybe you can negotiate, but typically it's 10%. So those are the 3 fees that come along with every single unit. So you might start off at 10 million for your unit thinking, oh my God, that's so great. But after you add all the charges, you're going to be at 15 point something million, right? And depending on where you're coming from and the lifestyle that you're accustomed to, you might be spending more than 10 million on a unit, which means these numbers are even bigger, So there was that. And initially I felt excited because the places were technically cheaper than Ghana, but initially you actually pay a lot more. And I'm saying initially because the next year, if you do renew your lease, you're only going to pay the 10 million, for example. So that kind of feels better. So if you're here for more than a year, those extra fees kind of seem okay when you're going to be paying for your second year at your accommodation or wherever you're going to be staying. So I wish I really properly anticipated the potential costs in that way. And then Nigeria's light is terrible. They don't have a consistent electricity, for real. So as I said, most compounds come with a generator on site, and depending on where you live, it could be 24 hours accommodation for your light or your electricity. Or where I live, for example, we only are guaranteed generator between the hours of 7 p.m. and 7 a.m. And then on the weekends, a couple of hours on the weekends. And then, always in the evening, 7 p.m. to 7 a.m. So that's annoying because, for example, if you have work to do and you need to power heavy machinery, you won't be able to do it on your house generator, or you'll need NEPA, because it's called NEPA, to be working so you can power your, high-powered tools. So that's something to consider. So now with the power thing, I didn't realize what it would be like to have solar and what it really meant to have solar. So solar is, one of the 2 ways you can power your home. It's either solar or you get a generator, which makes a lot of noise and you've got to refuel it with diesel. So And also some compounds don't allow you to have your own personal generator with like a diesel powered generator because it makes a lot of noise and it's not fair to the neighbors. So they encourage you to get a solar system or inverter system. That's what I went for. So the inverter system was like, let's say like 3,500 Canadian at the time anyway. So the inverter, I didn't anticipate having to spend that much to have alternate power source. So that's just another, initial payment that goes along with your rent. So the inverter we got, it can only power a single AC unit, and then it can power a fridge. It powers all the lights and maybe like one fan. So in your mind, you're like, okay, that's okay, during the day, it's fine. And maybe NEPA will come on and off sometimes as well. So I've now found that extremely annoying because AC is only available in one room of the house, So unless every single room has fans, which we do have fans as well, but sometimes you need a little bit more relief or you're just sitting in front of the fan because it's that hot. So I would have liked, or maybe next time or in the future, I would probably do an inverter that can have at least 2 ACs, maybe one in the living room and one in one of the bedrooms. But, even then, that can be annoying depending on how many other people are living with you, right? And of course, the price is going to double for that inverter system because you're going to need a bigger inverter. So that's something to consider. Also, these places typically do not come with AC units, so you have to buy your own AC units. My experience in Ghana, a lot of places actually just came with AC units already installed, so that wasn't something that you'd have to think about trying to find or buy or source or whatever. And the annoying thing, like even with this lease coming to an end where I'm living and moving out, I gotta take them all out and take them all down. And maybe I'm gonna try to sell them. If I don't come back, I'll try to sell them. But it's just all a bit of a hassle, you know what I mean? So that's, again, something to consider when you are deciding to live here in Lagos. Another interesting thing is the currency. The currency is unstable. And I know it's inflation and, every country is suffering from economic fluctuations, but it just feels like more shocking in African countries, at least in Ghana and Nigeria. I can't say African countries. I haven't been to enough to really say that. But yeah, when I first came to Ghana, like 5 tomatoes was like 50 cents. And now 5 tomatoes is like $10 or $5, some ridiculous amount, And it's the same here. When I first came to Nigeria, which was a year ago approximately, when I was changing my Canadian dollar into Naira, it felt so amazing because I just got way more Naira value for my Canadian dollar. And now I feel like I'm not getting anything. So the same money that took you, a certain distance last year, that same money isn't doing that much this year. And then you still have to consider that prices are going up. So the prices of things are going up and the value for your dollar to Naira when you convert it is less. So it hits harder. When I first came to do pedicure, manicure, it was like $20. And now it's like $35, And it wasn't that long ago that I was paying so cheap. Now, I'm not complaining about the price. I'm just saying the drastic jump for what you're getting for your dollar or your currency, it feels very drastic, you know what I mean? So that's something you have to consider if you're living here. Like at any minute, the value of the money you're earning or a different currency, or US or Canadian, can be less or can be more at any time. So it's definitely very temperamental. That's the word. Another thing is I wish I knew about other places in Nigeria Everyone knows about Lagos. You know, it's a very popular place, but I do wish I spent time considering any other place in Nigeria. Nigeria is very, very big, and there are other, similar places to Lagos. And I have been to Abuja, and I loved it. Abuja was so amazing. It was so green. It was like the countryside. It just felt like Canada. That's how it felt there. And I wish I spent more time considering like other options outside of Lagos. Lagos isn't the only place to be. Even the mainland, I don't mind the mainland because where I'm living now is the islands, and everyone wants to be on the islands. But the mainland, I've been there before to different, little places. And I feel like you can find something on the mainland, you know what I mean? And I wouldn't mind being on the mainland. Yeah. Even where I'm living is Lekki Phase 1. So there's more phases, like Lekki Phase 2, like going down the island, if you want to say. And again, some of those places are very nice to live. And I wish I just took the time to explore Nigeria more and, consider other living options. So yeah, that. Also, because we were already living on the continent, we thought that it would make sense to ship everything from Ghana to Lagos, which was such a big mistake. Oh my God, we wasted so much money. So the idea was we have everything we need, beds, couches, TV, blah, blah, blah. So why go there and buy everything, over again? And let me tell ya. So what we had done was ship the items through some people. Okay, so first of all, we asked someone in Ghana to find someone who ships to Nigeria. So he found like a bus company. It's similar to like Greyhound. I don't know if you guys remember Greyhound, or like those other big buses that will travel to like, or from state to state. These big buses, right? So he found these big buses and he asked him how much everything was. And he said he couldn't give us a quote because he had to see everything. But we didn't know what the service was. We just were like getting someone to assist us in finding these people. So when we went to drop off the items, it was basically this Greyhound bus service, and it didn't make any sense. And he was charging us like $2,000. And we thought, what? $2,000 just to drive from here to there? That seemed expensive. So we thought to ourselves, okay, we can just hire these moving people to drive, and we'll maybe pay them like 1,500 or like 1,000 or 1,200, something like that. But boy, oh boy, were we wrong. So we did give it to this moving company because they had a big truck which fit all of our stuff. So to get to Nigeria, you have to go through 2 borders, or I guess 3. Every time you meet another country, it's another border. So technically each country has 2 borders. So you're going to go from Ghana to Togo, and then from Togo to Benin, and then from Benin to Nigeria, right? When they got to the Ghana-Togo border, that was $1,000. And I already felt in my heart that this was just going to be like downhill from there. So that was like $1,000. So I was like, oh my God, can we just tell it to turn back? Because we're paying the drivers $1,000. And the first border is $1,000. There's 4 more borders. It just sounds like it's going to keep being thousands and thousands of dollars. And then the other thing is they hold you at the border. So they don't just let you pay and drive off. You are like stuck there for the night. So they drove to the next border, which was Togo, Benin, and that was another $1,300 or $1,200 again. And they held them again at the border, and they had to sleep there. So every time they get to a border, they take every single thing off the truck so they can rummage through it. I guess they're hoping they find something illegal so that they can really exploit you. So super technically, that entire trip should only be 12 hours drive. But with all the extortion, that's the word, with all the extortion, it was like 4 or 5 days. So our drivers were just sleeping in the car, and like they were very miserable. It rained at one point. It was just like so disastrous. And then finally, when it gets to here, to Nigeria, Benin, again, they're charging you $600, $700. It's just so bad. So, and then we still had to pay the drivers, of course, like $1,200 or something like that. So I would never suggest moving your things from country to country, especially if they're not like neighboring countries. But even if they were neighboring countries, I would say just buy everything fresh when you get to your destination. And a service that they do have here, not a service, but they have a lot of WhatsApp groups that sell used furniture, used goods in general. So that's something that I would have done. And not everything on the website, the WhatsApp group, not everything is even used. Some things are brand new, but it's very affordable. And they have everything you could think of: TVs, rugs, mattresses. So you can just take your time and find what you need on that app. So that's something that I wish someone explained to me properly, or that I could understand properly, because yeah, it was a very big waste of money. And then when we got all of our stuff, it was damp, it was wet, because it's been wrapped up for like 5 days with no air. Some of it got wet. Very stressful. Very, very stressful. Another random interesting point is my daughter, she does homeschool. And I thought it would be, similar to finding people to hang out with or something like that. But it's not. And the reason is, it seems that Nigerian culture is more big on boarding school. So a lot of the young people are actually not even on this island. Their parents have shipped them off to boarding school. So that's just another interesting point. Yeah, I would just add that. Yeah. So in general, those are things that I wish I knew before coming to Nigeria. It would have just made the transition a lot smoother and less stressful if I knew what to anticipate in general. So it's not that it can't be done, or that you shouldn't do it, or you shouldn't try it, but I hope I've given you a little bit of insight into what to expect if you are moving to Nigeria. Yeah. I am leaving at the end of this month back to Toronto myself. So if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe to my channel so you guys can stay up to date with my life, basically. So thanks for watching this video. If you guys have any questions about living in Nigeria, I'd be happy to chit chat with you guys in the comment section below. Or you guys can send me a message on Instagram or even Snapchat, you guys. So yeah, we will chat. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll see you next time. Mwah.